Oye, Mira, picture this. Every day we swim in an ocean of decisions, from the mundane to the monumental. Our lives are a tapestry woven from the threads of choices. But have you ever stopped to think, what is it that's guiding these choices? Is it the compass of logic, or is there an invisible hand subtly steering the ship? That, my friends, is the power of bias. My name is Christian Ortiz, and this is Cape On, a tech activist podcast. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button and share this with your friends. Bias. It's a small word, but it carries immense weight. Bias is a predisposition. What I mean by that, it's often unconscious, influencing our judgment without us even realizing it. From the news we read to the shows we watch and the conversations we have, biases are perpetually reinforced everywhere we go. When I first got into the world of AI, everybody continued to tell me that there were so many issues within bias within AI. And I kept asking myself, well, what kind of bias? Because bias to me means whether I'm buying a pair of Levi's or Wranglers, which route I'm taking to get to work faster, and my food preferences. It wasn't until ChatGPT came out and I started developing my AI community on LinkedIn, where I started meeting AI specialists who started shining light on exactly what was happening. AI developers like myself were tinkering around with ChatGPT and offering different prompts and figuring out what were the best ways for users like you to use them, so they would share a lot of their results on places like LinkedIn and Facebook. As I was starting to look closer into their content, I started realizing a lot of problematic verbiage found within the information that they were sharing. And what I immediately came to realize is that unconscious bias, or what we call implicit bias, as innocent as it may be, can be extremely harmful. Let me give you a couple of quick examples of what I found and show you just how deep our biases actually go. On one of my friend's LinkedIn posts, he wrote, "Excited to showcase our new AI recruitment tool. This cutting-edge system streamlines hiring by quickly identifying the best fit candidates. No more sifting through endless resumes. Our AI effectively scans for top-tier universities and proven track records, ensuring you get the cream of the crop every time. Hashtag AI recruitment." Did you recognize the bias in that paragraph? The post implies that the best candidates are only those from top-tier universities with proven track records, quote-unquote, potentially overlooking talented individuals from less prestigious institutions or those with unconventional career paths. This reflects as educational or experience-based bias. Okay, how about this one? A friend of mine posted, "Hey guys, through OpenAI, I finally developed my own AI chatbot designed to enhance the customer experience like never before. It's programmed to understand and engage with our primary user base efficiently. Now, enjoy interactions that truly resonate with a professional, urban clientele." Hashtag customer engagement. Did you catch it? The post suggests that the AI chatbot is tailored primarily for a professional, urban clientele, which may imply a bias towards a certain socioeconomic and cultural demographic, potentially alienating customers from diverse backgrounds or rural areas. Okay, here's one that's going to be a little bit harder to find out, but I really want you to pay attention. This came from friends of mine who run a health clinic, and they finally introduced AI into their day-to-day. They wrote a post that said, "Big news, our health tracking app's AI just got smarter. Now with enhanced features focusing on diet trends popular in the US and Europe and optimized fitness routines for typical office lifestyles. Stay on top of your health game effortlessly." Hashtag AI health app. So there are actually two types of biases in this post: geographical bias and lifestyle bias. Under the geographical bias, by focusing on diet trends popular in the US and Europe, their app implicitly prioritizes the dietary habits and preferences of people in these regions. The bias overlooks or marginalizes the dietary patterns, nutritional needs, and cultural food practices of people in other parts of the world, such as Asia, Africa, and South America. The second, lifestyle bias, falls under this statement, also exhibiting lifestyle bias by optimizing fitness routines for typical office lifestyles. This assumes that the primary users of the app are office workers with certain kinds of sedentary lifestyles, potentially excluding or not adequately catering to individuals in different types of occupations, such as manual laborers, field workers, or those who have more active or varied work environments. Biases like these in health and fitness apps can contribute to systemic health inequities by failing to address the specific health needs of marginalized communities. This can perpetuate existing disparities in health outcomes, as minority groups may not find the app's resources applicable or accessible. Tailoring health solutions primarily to Western office-based users can reinforce stereotypes about what quote-unquote healthy living looks like, potentially stigmatizing or overlooking other valid and healthy lifestyles and practices that exist in different cultures and racial groups. These are just some of the biases that we have to deal with day to day. Holy shit. Think about all of the biases that we actually encounter and some of the biases that we have in our own language when we're speaking to others or writing anything down. We have racial bias, gender bias, social phobias, ethnocentrism, cultural bias, ageism, disability bias, language bias, implicit bias, geographical bias, survivorship bias, authority bias, educational bias, beauty bias, the status quo bias, and anchoring bias. Social biases can be extremely complex, which is one of the reasons why it tells me that many people in tech, especially in AI activism, don't really want to take on this challenge of deconstructing bias across the board. Well, until recently, when I decided that enough was enough and someone needed to step up and do something about it. So I stepped up and I did something about it. For the last year, I've been developing an AI chatbot app that users could use to help identify, educate, and deconstruct bias across the board in every sector. My app is called Justice AI, the first of its kind. Through a grant from the NSF and the DoD, I've been looking to finalize this project. But then recently, OpenAI announced that you can now create GPTs through the OpenAI datasets. This has allowed me to put Justice AI through the test phase in order to see exactly what it can do. And let me tell you, it can do a lot. For the last several months, I've been running Justice AI through rigorous bias testing. I've programmed over 1,000 data sets, ensuring that all of the information that it delivers to its users is 100% bias-free. Because bias is so multifaceted and can be found in almost any situation, Justice AI will always be updated and maintained. Rest assured, however, that Justice AI takes under the consideration of perspectives from every marginalized group. It's been programmed to remove ethnocentric and settler colonialism language and perspectives. It's being updated to identify, address, and educate on every instance of social injustice within American history. Ultimately, the main focus is to make Justice AI a tool that users and corporations can implement every single day that focuses on the betterment of humanity. If you're a ChatGPT Pro user, then you can try Justice AI today by visiting my website at www.modatlasmedia.com. That's going to do it for me today. I want to take a quick second to say thank you to all of my listeners for making this podcast into what it is. It is absolutely mind-blowing to watch just how many people want to engage, interact, and learn in this space. If you're enjoying this type of content, please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I've also put this podcast on Apple Podcasts for all of my Apple users. Be safe, be good, and be good to each other. Until next time, K-Bon.